Hey y'all, it's Joefer here, the Cranky Old Gay Guy. And welcome to another episode of Car Talk with Joefer. I am headed to the dentist for a teeth cleaning. Yeah, my teeth will never be white, I'm aware of that. This is something you do every 6 months, I think. 6 months? I think it's like that. You get a teeth cleaning. The doctor checks your gums to make sure you don't have cancer or anything. They recommend that you get a bunch of expensive crowns, which they do, and they say it every time I go in. And then I get to say, we'll put that off till next time. I don't have any money. And then they want to do x-rays. They do that every year. I don't remember if I had it done last time or it was this time. But they're digital x-rays. So they cost absolutely nothing. Except the attendees or the attendants' time to take them. And they're more expensive than, if I recall, than regular bite wing x-rays with the actual film. And I say that because I would think that digital x-rays would be, I don't know, inexpensive? Just a thought. And I am stuck in traffic on Alberta. Can you believe it? There's construction everywhere, and there's a garbage truck that's jammed up here in the intersection, and a school bus. This is not going to be a quick drive. Without traffic, this should take about 12 minutes. But with traffic and stopping, it's going to take longer. Which, you know how that makes me cranky, because I'm cranky. I admit it, totally cranky. Getting back to x-rays. I think bite wings were like $35 or $45 per x-ray. And when I had digital x-rays done the first time with this new machine, it was like $85 per x-ray. And it's like, what? X-rays were almost $600. Because they did the whole mouth, and it's like, that's crazy. Why is this so expensive? This costs you nothing. And I was told, well, because we have to pay for the equipment. So you bought the machine? I don't think so. I think it's leased. And it's probably $1,000 a month or something. I don't know the cost. I know it's expensive. But normally a business will amortize the equipment over a 10-year period if they buy it. And then it'll be worth zero at the end, so there's just freebies. Why not amortize it over 20 or 30? And that would bring down the cost. Your patients wouldn't be paying through the nose for digital x-rays that, again, cost you nothing as far as in a physical sense. You're paying for the license of the software used, and you're paying for the license of the equipment. And I think it's a scam. And it would be great if Bobby Kennedy Jr. stepped in and changed that. But we know that's not going to happen. You've all seen all of the things happening in this country over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and how departments and government organizations are just being decimated and destroyed. Mass firings, mass layoffs, people who can't call in and get any information that's just disappearing from websites. In particular, any government website that mentions anything about transgenderism or gender or born woman, born man, anything like that has anything to do with the whole, what they term as wokeism, has been scratched from the record and wiped from websites. Also, even on the CDC website, all of the prevention information regarding HIV has been removed. That's my understanding. I did not look. I'm going by 4 different reports that I saw online from news organizations. I'm going to believe them. So I don't really expect Robert Kennedy to say, oh, those digital x-rays, you're being screwed on that. We're going to change that. Even though he's in charge of something that I'm sure has something to do with something. Nope. Just as the world is waking up and seeing what a mess is being made, President Elon Musk announces last night or this morning, I'm just reading the reports this morning, that he's going to ask Donald Trump to give everybody in this country a check for $5,000. Why and where's that money coming from? Well, from all the savings that we've found in closing these organizations. All that money can now go back to the people. Well, all the money, no, $5,000 per person, it's probably going to be taxed. And that's going to get a whole lot of people saying, oh no, we love Mr. Trump, he gave us $5,000. Well, there's an underlying symptom here that they're not thinking about. And that is, most of the people who are going to be eager for this $5,000 are probably on the lower income scale, meaning that they're not making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. I know that might sound high for some parts of this country, but where I live, if you don't make 60 grand a year, you are the lower income. What they don't realize is that the benefits they're getting now, let's say Medicaid, maybe it's Medicaid just for medical. I guess that's what Medicaid is, isn't it? Sometimes Medicaid dollars go out for things that aren't necessarily an office visit or a medication. But let's say that they have Medicaid and they love it. You know, things are paid for. They don't have to worry about going to the doctor or getting their prescription every month or whatever. They get that because they qualify as a low-income individual. And in Oregon, the poverty rate, I believe, is $14,400 or something like that. And if you earn less than that, then you're considered low income, which lets you avoid paying the Portland City arts tax, which is another story entirely. I would like to just ban that. That should have never gone into effect in the first place. But they also qualify for Medicaid benefits through the state of Oregon. And I believe Medicaid is paid for, in part, by government funds. Now, I know a lot of those are being slashed, and in some of the southern states, those that actually take advantage of Medicaid, I think Florida, that governor refused to do it because of his anti-Bidenism. But I just heard on the news this week that a lot of people have been dropped, so now they have no medical insurance. I know that people will say, well, just go buy it on the exchange. Well, if you are a low-income person, you're not allowed to buy private insurance on the Affordable Care Act. Why? Because when I hit low income, when I was unemployed, when I was taking care of my mother, I was unemployed, but it was by choice. I went out to buy insurance, and they refused to sell it to me because they said I didn't have a big enough income. Well, I didn't have any income because I wasn't working. So what am I supposed to do? Just no insurance? No, they told me to apply for Medicaid. Anyway, back to this story. That was 2015. Back to the story at hand. And by the way, I am congested. It's not pouring, but it's very wet and damp. It's probably 80% humidity. I am drowning out here. And I am on sinus pills right now. I've taken one. And, well, actually, I take two. But, yeah. I'm also on, pseudoephedrine is one of them. And so this shouldn't be happening to me. Go back to this original story. I'm trying to finish this train of thought, and I just keep getting distracted. For those that are on the lower income spectrum and qualify for these benefits, for a lot of them, this $5,000 check is going to push them across the poverty line, which means they will no longer be qualified for said benefits. So I'm guessing Elon doesn't know this, but maybe he does, and this could be all part of the plan to cut benefits, because that's one of his big priorities, to cut Medicaid benefits. And by giving $5,000 to everyone, a good portion of the people who get Medicaid are now going to be disqualified for Medicaid, and they're going to lose what little they have. And now that they are considered above poverty wages, they're going to be expected to go out to the exchange and buy insurance. But I don't know if any of you have checked that exchange lately, but insurance is not cheap. And even if they get a government subsidy to help pay for it, they're still going to have a huge deductible. $3,800 I think is the minimum I've seen. Plus co-pays every time they go in. And when you have health insurance, for the most part, I know this is what's happened with mine, is that you will think you're going to go in and get, insurance is going to pay 40% of it or something. But then you find that you are hit with the entire bill because you haven't met your deductible yet. Well, to meet your deductible, you've got to spend a lot of money, and then you're still spending money every month for this insurance that won't kick in until you spend a lot of money. So if you're hovering around the poverty level or just above the poverty level, you're pretty much screwed. And I think that could be one of the reasons he's proposing this, is to give Trump better optics, make him look better. Fuck. Sorry about that. Someone just ran a red light on a ramp. And guess what? It was a fucking Tesla. Anyway, once you are dropped from Medicaid, especially in the coming months, I believe that you will not be able to get back on it because the current administration wants to get rid of it entirely. It's all about pulling yourself up from your bootstraps. Just like Elon did when his father gave him an emerald mine. To set out on your world, you gotta be something, son. You gotta make something of yourself. Here's a multi-million-dollar emerald mine, but I'm not gonna help you out. Or Mr. Trump, I had to pull myself from my bootstraps. Yeah, my father only gave me $10 million when I left home. Wow, that's working your way up from the bottom, isn't it? And this discussion has gotten political enough that a lot of you have probably dropped off. No, it's what's on my mind. What can I tell you? This is not the country that my parents would remember. Now, my parents are deceased, but I think about how they would view this. And my father would be viewing Fox News and say something like, oh, well, poor people, they got to do this. And it's like, Dad, you are one of these poor people. And my mother would be going, it's your father. I don't know. I don't think she'd have a strong political opinion. She just never did. Anyhow, this is short today. I'm at 12:05, I think. 12:50, 13 minutes. And, oh boy, the bridge has stopped. I am on the Fremont Bridge, which is a huge arced bridge that leads from the east side to the west side in Portland. There are many, many bridges in Portland. So what I need to do is get over before this big-ass truck blocks me and get in the right lane so I won't be tied up and stuck. The worst thing to get behind in stalling or super slow traffic is a semi-truck, because they don't just start out. They'll stop and then crawl and stop and crawl. It's like a moving truck. It's the same thing. And it also blocks your view, so you have no idea what's ahead. Right now, I'm going up to the arc part of the bridge, so I can only see 3 or 4 cars ahead anyway, because they're over the horizon. Now I'm at the peak, and I can see 12 cars down, so I'm going downhill now. Oh boy, this is fascinating, isn't it? But I am going to go ahead and wind this up. I believe one of our viewers, Michael, told me that I have a Midwestern goodbye, saying I'm going to end something, and then I just keep blabbering on. Yeah, I probably do. I did spend an entire 4 days in the Midwest once in 1983 for a convention. The National Honor Society of Community Colleges. I think that's what it was. I was a Sigma something or other. We didn't really have fraternities or anything, but I was part of a fraternal order because it was a National Honor Society. And we spent 3 days in Kansas Kansas City, Missouri. And we did take a jaunt over to Kansas City, Kansas. And we also went to the Eisenhower Museum. We stayed at the Hyatt Regency, which I didn't know at the time, but just like months before, you go in and it's just this. The rooms surround a courtyard, a covered courtyard. So there's almost like an atrium in the middle, and there's sky bridges that hook different parts of the hotel. Well, I think there's 3 sky bridges, and this is the hotel that on New Year's Eve, just a few months before, the sky bridge, one of the sky bridges collapsed with all these people on it and came crashing down to the floor and killed a bunch of people. And I didn't know that until I was there and thinking, well, it looks like there should be a sky bridge there. There is here and here. I wonder why they didn't do that. And then someone told me, well, there used to be, and it got all sad. Sad. Okay, I've talked more than I should be talking. And I'm going to let y'all go because I'm at a final, well, there's 3 more lights. But anyway, I'm at a light. I'm kind of stopped. And then I'm going to go find parking, which is horrible in this neighborhood. I am in Northwest Portland. I'm going to be parking like between 23rd and 24th on a hill. There is a parking lot at the dental facility. It's several offices in a complex, an old like 1950s or 60s complex. It's made out of cinder block and poured cement. But the spaces are very narrow. I think there's probably there might be 14 spaces. One way in, one way out. It's always full. And the last 2 spaces, unless you get there before the other spaces around it are filled up, you can't get into them anyway. And then it's surrounded, the parking lot is surrounded by a 2.5-foot cement planter box all the way around. So you can't go over a parking space because there's a wall there and you'll scrape up your car. And that's what I'm facing this morning, and for me, I hope you guys find this fascinating. Just me talking and talking and talking some more, rather than like hang up the phone and get on with your day. But I am going to do that. But first, I am going to speed bump. There's a lot of speed bumps in the neighborhood too. Okay, we are passing the women's clinic up here, where there have been anti-abortion protesters. Oh boy, since the early 90s. And I mean, it's not a bunch. It's usually 1 or 2 people sitting on lawn chairs holding a sign talking about murdering children. Sometimes there's a picture. And that's just the way it is. Because this is Portland, the land of free speech, hippies, burnouts, hipsters, white nationalists, and Proud Boys. The Proud Boys aren't really here. They live in Vancouver, but they come down here just to cause havoc. All right, that's all I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to say bye for now. Bye-bye.